Joe Flacco, starting quarterback for your Cleveland Browns. Kevin's talked about it. Joe's talked about it. Does any part of you feel like it's got to be bizarre for Joe that we talk about Joe? And I might have mentioned this to you a couple days ago, where Joe's a 40-year-old man. I would imagine Joe in his health, and I mean with the advances in sciences and everything, Joe's probably got 50 years left. Would you say like Joe could live until 90, right?
The advances of science, man. Joe has been around since the advent of the printing press, Kenny. He's been around so long.
So Joe's got 50 years probably left. And we talk about Joe Flacco like it's your grandfather's 90th birthday.
Yet I'm older than him.
Exactly. And you go, we got to go. You never know. This could be his last one. Like in Christmas Vacation, they might not have any more. This might be their last Christmas. You might have to go. Like it's... he's got to be a little bit annoyed by that. Like, I'm not, like, he'd probably sit there going, I'm not 20 anymore, but I'm not old. Like,
I was looking yesterday to see where Joe Flacco, like, would you say it would be miraculous if Flacco would play all 17 games this year? Like, if you were to do a bet, if you were to do the odds on what that would be, the likelihood of him playing all 17 games, it would be minuscule, right?
Yeah.
So I started looking. If he played in all 17 games, where would that put him? Because I'm like, it's year 17. He's going to be in his 40s. That's got to have him like top 8, top 9 ever. But it's not because, in fact, Matt Hasselbeck is ahead of him right now in games started in the NFL. It's not because he had like 8 straight years of starting 1, 2, 3, or 4 games. Because that's how crazy the story is, that it looked like he was barreling towards being out of the league. 8 years ago. Really, well, after Lamar Jackson came in, right? How long has Lamar Jackson been here now?
9 years?
Yeah.
8 years?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And for him to be starting
we call it the better
season,
part of a decade.
Yeah, forget the playoff run, which was miraculous a few years ago, or the down the stretch run to get them into the playoffs. But the fact that he is starting right now, I don't think people have fully appreciated how ridiculous this is that he is starting.
It is pretty bizarre. I know what Jeff had said yesterday, 2 days ago, where he said it was a colossal waste of time, or colossal failure. Colossal failure was the word. Boy, people are very sensitive about making sure the words are exactly how they are.
He said colossal failure what?
Colossal failure to play Joe Flacco because you got these 2 young guys. You got to see what you have with the young guys there. And my thought is you have to be responsible to the veterans. You have to be responsible to the guys who have sweat equity in there, even though they paid. Like, you still got Joel Bitonio on that football team. You still got older guys on that team, and you're trying to do something to establish a culture. Now, I don't think you can establish a culture, guys. I really don't. I mean, their identity. What is their identity? I mean, I said it yesterday, and people were even upset about that. I go, they're going to try to line up in 12 personnel and run the football. Well, Ken, who's their running back? Well, Ken, you can't do it in the NFL like that. I go, well, if you don't have the horses, you got to try to do it like that, because the only horse you really have is Jerry Jeudy and a little bit of David Njoku. So if you only have those guys, you're probably going to line up and try to run the football. Well, then, Ken, you can't do that in the NFL. Yes, you can. Philadelphia did it. They did it better than anybody else out there. Well, you don't have Saquon Barkley. You don't have Jalen Hurts, which takes me right back to what I said. You're probably going to do protectionism, because I can't just go winging the ball all over the place when I have a bunch of quarterbacks with a propensity to turn the ball over, because I'm either going to have 2 young guys, Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, who's certainly known to turn the ball over. So we're gonna go in this vicious cycle. So to settle everything down, ball control, clock management, eliminate turnovers, try to win the turnover margin, and try to win the football game on the margins. Maybe at the very end, it'll still be smiling on me.
I get.
They still won't be that great.
From the outside looking in, it totally makes sense for the Browns to get bagged over starting a 40-year-old quarterback on a team that's supposed to be one of the worst teams in football on paper. Mm-hmm. Which is, and we'll talk later in the show whether the paper is wrong about that, because some people are starting to insinuate
7
that the paper is wrong.
Well, it's weird because Danny Cannell said 9 to 10 wins they could be this year. That's something to pound the table on. I heard Fanta getting a shouting match with Nick and Jonathan. Well, really Nick, but it was really John's shouting match with himself. Fanta was yelling about them being a 6-win team, and I go, I don't know if 6 wins is anything to puff your chest out about there, but we're not setting a high standard here.
Yeah, maybe it depends who gets the 6 wins. If it's Joe Flacco getting the 6 wins versus is it the rookie quarterbacks getting the 6 wins? maybe that changes
We
everything.
have to figure that out as the season goes on.
I mean, I think that would be really, really kind of informative on what kind of a year it is. So I keep thinking, if I did radio anywhere outside of Cleveland, I always try to keep this in the back of my mind. What would I be saying? And I'd be saying, all right, where does Vegas have the Browns? 4.5, 5 wins. Okay, they're starting a 40-year-old quarterback when they drafted 2 rookies. But they got to understand, 2 rookies is not 2 rookies. They didn't draft Jaden Daniels here. They didn't draft Baker Mayfield. Okay, this is a 3rd and 5th rounder. The 3rd rounder almost universally was overdrafted, and the 5th rounder was almost universally underdrafted. But both of them, right now, would you bet on either of them having a long-term starting career in the NFL? No, you wouldn't.
No, right.
Most people wouldn't.
Not now, I can't.
Now,
I would bet higher on Shedeur Sanders.
The Shedeur Sanders first crowd, which we have a bunch of them, we welcome them in. They, depending on the day, they have problems with us, or depending on the day, they appreciate us.
We're the champions of champions.
But I think even they have to recognize that the fact that he lasted till the 5th round showed you where the league kind of felt about either his skills or his abilities or his interview techniques or whatever
it was.
And now, what would he be on the depth chart today if, let's say, Kenny Pickett was miraculously healthy today?
Well,
where would Shedeur be on the depth chart today?
Oh, those are two. But I think those are two
4th.
different answers.
It's still 4th. Me and you, it wouldn't be 4th. But for the Browns, it seems like all indications are that it would be 4th.
And then we could argue whether or not we agree with that, and I'm sure we will at some point.
But that's what I'm saying is it's such an uphill battle.
Yes.
Not that he won't get an opportunity this year on the Browns. Everybody gets an opportunity. We were going through the quarterbacks before the show. We welcome Gabe. Is that your name?
Gabe. Yes, Gabe, his name is Gabe Clark. You didn't even say hi to Gabe, did you?
No, he came over to shake my hand. I said, today, bad day.
No,
bad day to try to shake my hand.
Line is under the weather.
As I have a box full of tissue with lotion.
Yes, tissues with lotion.
The tissue with lotion. But you brought up who was quarterback last year?
7 different ones.
But you mentioned one
last year.
But last year you mentioned one I totally forgot about already.
Jeff Driscoll.
Wasn't that 2 years ago, or was that last year?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay,
I said over the last 2 years.
Yeah, who was last year?
Last year it was Deshaun.
Yeah.
It was DTR, Jameis, Bailey Zappi. Started the last game against the
That
Ravens.
was what I totally forgot. And I'm sure most people probably forgot about Driscoll in the final game, because that was the final game of the year last year. So we odds are, hey, one slogan is odds are you'll have fun. With the Browns, odds are come January, you'll get in. If you are a quarterback and you've had a clipboard at some point during the season, you will get a chance to throw a football.
I actually love that thought, and I think you just stumbled on something I might want to do either on the podcast or, depending on how today goes or tomorrow goes, maybe do it then. How would I treat the Browns if we did this show in Philadelphia? And I would think, I put the Browns away until Shedeur Sanders plays.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
Hey, you had the unwatchables list, which is probably something we should do again. Guys, if we lived in any other city other than the AFC North, if we were in a non-AFC North city, they'd be on the early unwatchables watch list. I don't know if anybody's unwatchable yet, but after week 1, you would know. But they would be a team that you would probably put away until they play Shedeur Sanders, and then you would drop in to see Shedeur Sanders. And there's other teams that we've said that way, but that's the stark truth about it if you weren't a Browns fan. I mean, hell, I got Browns fans saying that they're going to do their lawn work anyway. Okay, those are Browns fans saying that. So you know how we would stand on it if we were in Atlanta, Georgia, or anywhere else about the Browns. There's plenty of other football teams I felt that way. That crystallizes things the way you just said it. But, there was some interesting audio there yesterday. So Joe Flacco, he was asked some interesting questions. And I want to get to this because Joe was asked, they actually asked him how long his leash is.
Well, we all know how that works. I mean, that's everybody in the league. But it's not really my job to look at it in that way. It's just to kind of go out there and play my game, kind of like I've been doing, all training camp, and not worrying about all that stuff. Just going out there and playing my game and being the best I can.
I know where you want to go on that. Now, hold on. Let me get to these 2 other things because I know what you might be thinking. Because I did a disservice yesterday. You asked me a question, and I forgot to answer it coming back from break. I hate when I do that, and I apologize to anybody who was listening then. I'm going to answer it here in just a moment. Kevin Stefanski, when asked about Joe Flacco and all the quarterbacks they have who start for them, this is what Kevin Stefanski said about who plays quarterback.
We have a standard for that position, regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. Obviously, Joe, having done it at a high level, has done it here as well. That lends itself to confidence in himself and confidence from his teammates.
How many different quarterbacks you have the last couple of years? 7?
7.
You sure you have a standard? I think that standard is the same as old Gabe boys over there at 2 a.m. What bar do you go to, Gabe?
Ray's Place.
You go to Ray's Place. Wait, in Kent?
In Kent, yeah.
Wow, look at...
I'm familiar with the steps to get up there at Ray's Place.
23.
That's still too old for you know whose daughter, right?
Yeah.
She's in college, though. Yeah. She's a grown woman now.
I know. Normally, once you get to school...
He ain't listening right now.
Just go out the window.
You go to Ray's Place in Kent?
Absolutely.
Okay,
it's a great place.
What time do they close? Oh, yeah, Mitch, like you go there. You just go there and stare at the wall. Mitch, you go to Ray's Place?
I've been there many times.
Really? Mitch?
Yeah.
You go out?
Often, yeah.
I don't believe him.
More in my college days, yeah.
Well, then I would say our standard is the same as Gabe's and Mitch's at Ray's Place in the late evening. That's what I say our standard is. Standards change as the season goes on, just as they do as the night goes on. Kevin Stefanski did go further, and he was asked, and this is the operative thing here, he was asked if Kenny Pickett had a realistic shot at the starting job.
Yeah, I'm still excited about Kenny, the player, the person. I've been around him now for many months, and I know what he's about. I know how he was performing. The injury was unfortunate, but it hasn't stopped him from being engaged. It hasn't stopped him from knowing exactly what's going on day-to-day basis. He's getting as much work as he can right now, but he has performed really, really well.
Does that sound like a guy they're trading or cutting?
No. But
it's bad news for Shedeur, right?
Go ahead and tell everybody what you noted.
What I said to you about the phraseology of what they said going into week 1 this year?
That's enough of that. Well, no, wait, not the phraseology there. Wait, what you mean it's bad for Shedeur? Like, they're not going to cut Shedeur.
No, but it's if there's another guy in front of you when you didn't think there would be multiple guys in front of you and then the starting quarterback, that's probably bad news for Shedeur fans.
Probably. But you noticed the wording there, it said week 1 starter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Joe's guaranteed anything past week 1? That is the general question for everybody. 216-474-0092.
Yeah, I had assumed, what did I say yesterday? 3 games? If they started 0-3,
I said
that would be the end of Flacco?
I said London could be the Waterloo.
When is that? Which game is that?
I don't remember. It's not in the late part of the season. It's not in the early part of the season.
It's the first game in October.
There you go. It's a month into the year. So you're 3 games in, I'm 5 games in. Is what that is right there. I think maybe Sunday, 9:30 a.m. I don't know what time that is in England. I've never been there. We won the war with them. I don't need to know. They are the 5 games in. Maybe that ends up being his time. And there were a lot of people who noticed. And you asked me this going to break yesterday, and I went to write it down, and damn it, I got distracted, forgot to answer it coming back, and I hate when I do that. And I didn't answer it because I'm going... Why would you just have him start for week 1? He could have, I don't think it should be just in concrete, cornerstone, Joe Flacco forever. No, but man, you can't really consider pulling him after week 1, could you?
I could answer that, if you'd like, why they might feel that way.
You want to do that here in about 4.5 minutes?
I can do it.
216-474-0092. All right, I want to ask you as a Browns fan, because you could be one of the people who are kind of like Jeff Phelps, like, what are we doing here? Let's go. Let's get to. I don't know about Kenny. Let's get to Dylan. Let's get to Shedeur. You could be that way, so you could say he's absolutely not guaranteed anything past week 1. That statement only says week 1, or you could say that's really silly. That would be typical same old Brown stuff. Don't do something like this. The statement it said, the Brown statement it said, he's the starter for week 1. And as everybody is, because you got a 4-quarterback race here to be the starter of the quarterback, or to be the starting quarterback of the Browns this year, even though it was really between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, and Kenny bowed out because of injury there. That The Browns could have something up their sleeve that says that maybe they would like to put Kenny Pickett in there as soon as possible. They wanted Kenny Pickett. Now, there's been plenty of people, the Breers of the world, et cetera, who have said that the Browns wanted Kenny Pickett to win that job. Okay? Now, Breer had also said, like, hey, it's this is going to be a done deal here. It's going to be Joe Flacco. But I think a lot of people have said that the Browns wanted Kenny Pickett to go out and take the job, seize it. And he really didn't get a chance to. Now, I really didn't. I go with what I know, and I know that Joe Flacco, I feel, is a better quarterback, but we'll find out. Maybe Kenny Pickett is a diamond in the rough. But we might find that out sooner than later. I think it would be ridiculous to have that in the back of your mind right now. Now, you have to be prepared for anything, but it would be ridiculous for them to do that, because then you're just doing some dog and pony show for veterans and old guys like me or whatever you want to say that want to be too conservative about the offense. Because the other guys you're putting out there, I'm sorry, I know I asked you this question. I'm just going to get my thoughts off my chest right now about this. Because the other guys you put out there, you either have a guy who is an also-ran for a lot of people who really, other than his family members on the internet that like to cuss out radio show hosts, there's really no excitement for him at all. The only arguments we can make is Sam Darnold, who I think is not out of the woods by any means. Geno Smith, who is a respectable quarterback, but nothing that anybody takes seriously or puts in the top 5, top 10, top 15. So then you have a guy like Kenny Pickett. Why do I bother with that? So then I would probably be putting Dylan Gabriel and or Shedeur Sanders in too quickly. You have to be hoping anything can happen week one. If he goes out there and he has a Dan Marino final game against the Jaguars where he throws 5 interceptions and they just go get smashed, like, yeah, fine. You know what? It's on the table. But I don't think we're going to have that conversation. And if he were to go out and they were to lose a game, 21-17 or something like that, and he's a veteran quarterback, yeah, I'm playing in week 2. I'm playing in week 2, and I'm probably playing in week 3. And I'm probably playing in week 4, but we don't know how it goes, so then we'll see where it goes. The leash is not long, but you can't just say, well, week 1 and that's it. Like, come on.
So is there...
Let's not be silly
The
here.
only way I could see that being the case, and I floated this out there yesterday, and people were apoplectic on the notion that this could be true, that Kenny Pickett, that there are still some people in the organization that think Kenny Pickett is their...
I almost tweeted back at you, and I decided not to because I don't want to give away what we can sell. I'm like, there's got to be 150 people in the building. Yeah, you're bound to find somebody who like Kenny Pickett at some point.
So my contention was there are people in that building that think Kenny Pickett is the best quarterback they have in that building. And you'd say, well, what evidence could you possibly have? Well, for one, why did they take so long, even though Kenny Pickett couldn't play, why did they take so long to name a quarterback? No, it's not like Joe Flacco gives you some strategic advantage. If anything, it makes it easier to prepare because they don't have that added twist of a quarterback being able to run the football. Like Kenny Pickett does bring a little bit of that to the table. So, if anything, that would be the only reason they would try to keep Cincinnati guessing. Second of all is, again, who was the guy that was here first in this quarterback room?
It was Kenny.
Kenny
was the first one to fill it out.
It's funny. I said a few days ago on social media that they had traded. Well, I said it on the show that, they traded an asset for him, and someone goes, why do you keep saying they traded an asset? It was DTR. I go, I forgot they traded DTR for it. I was talking about the draft pick. That's sorry, DTR. I feel bad saying that.
You might be able to get DTR back here.
Heck yeah.
So we'll
make it 7 quarterbacks.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, go right on ahead.
But okay, you made an astute point.
Thank you.
Well, there's 150 people. Well, in analytics alone, I think there's 100 people in that room.
Okay, then there's 250 people.
There's 1,000 people in that room. However, we polled 1,000 people in the room. Survey says. But the reality is, I still think there's a chance that the guy in that room, Andrew Berry, is there a chance Andrew Berry, who went and got Kenny Pickett first, who traded not only a pick and a player to get him, he was the first guy in the room, is there a chance that Andrew Berry thinks Kenny Pickett's the best quarterback on that roster? And if so,
Yes.
What does that mean for Joe Flacco?
That the leash is probably
and the
short.
Leash.
The leash is probably short. Well, I want to fight you on it. They went out and they got Kenny Pickett first. You're not wrong. I can't be apoplectic. I don't like to hear it, but it doesn't mean it ain't true.
I don't like to hear it either.
They like Kenny Pickett.
I said it.
They went and they traded for Kenny Pickett. They traded the 5th-round asset and Dorian Thompson-Robinson with the guy. They clearly like the guy. Kevin clearly likes the guy. He acted as if he would be a starting quarterback to the point where I told you that night when they had taken in it doesn't seem nice now considering what he's been accused of, and we haven't got him signed yet. But Quinshon Judkins was telling us the night he got drafted like he was just getting texts from Kenny Pickett. And we all looked at each other.
That?
We all, like me and Nathan and Gerard, all looked at each other and went, oh, boy. Like, that's an interesting one because by that time you have Joe Flacco there. And we're going, no, Kenny's acting as if he's the starter.
Yes.
That's the way we were looking at it. And so that added another wrinkle to all this. And so, yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. So I have to be prepared to say, yeah, maybe after a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, it would have to show that Joe just simply does not have what it takes to be a starting quarterback anymore in this league. And maybe he will. But I just don't think it's right to say, well, he's started for week one. Like, I just don't think there should be a plan of succession right after week one. I don't even remember who they take on week 2, to be honest with you. Well, I got to go look at it right now. They got Baltimore at Baltimore. Oh, that's right.
Well, that's
Baltimore's
doing
their 30th anniversary celebration.
Was Flacco asked about it yesterday?
He did say he was looking forward to going back and playing against them week 2, which, who knows if he will be playing by week 2.
Yeah,
he may be under the.
So he's a
competitor. He's under the impression that he's going to be playing a long time.
So we don't think this is the old school college football depth chart, the Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett situation. Like, it's Joe Flacco's here, and then we go down, and then there's Kenny Pickett. Like, they're not on the same line, are they?
Are you talking about us or Browns?
With the Browns. Or,
no.
Or is this competition still going?
I don't know how to do it on the radio. It's like Joe, step, Kenny, step, Dylan, step, Shador. It's probably how I think they're thinking. Or maybe even...
About to get the tweets.
Guys, I don't agree with this, with what I'm about to tell you. I don't agree. This is not my opinion. This is just how I think that they may be thinking, okay? Kenny, step, or excuse me, Joe, step, Kenny. Step, Dylan, step, Shador.
4?
Yeah, Shador.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say 4.
No.
I was waiting for you to say 4.
No. Well, the 4th on the depth chart.
No,
That's where
no.
No.
Very different 4.
No.
I thought you were going to say 4.
No. That's a totally different one. Then you got to bring in the owners. You got to bring in everybody. You're going to have a lot of fans who are upset.
Young Gabe, did you chart the amount of no's that Ken Carmen said?
You got to bring in the mowers.
That was at least 17.
You have to bring in the weed whackers. You have to bring in the Christmas decorations that people are going to be hanging up. You got to bring all that stuff in before you make that consideration, because that's the one where, you know what? You'll get people to come to the ballpark to go see Dylan Gabriel. Like, all right, let's go see. Seems like a nice enough guy. I know he kind of stuck his foot in his mouth on Saturday, but who cares? Yeah. We all say things. Don't matter. Let's go see Dylan Gabriel. And by the time that Dylan Gabriel is supposed to be playing, none of us will remember that anyway. So let's go see the fine young man. Shador? Yeah, man, we'll be there with bells on, clearly. Even if you're a hater, you're curious. The other guy? No. We'll be cleaning up the yard.
It's 18.
We will be, is there any golf left? Is there any golf left to play by that time?
Oh, come on. It's going to be...
Who knows the weather?
We're getting golf later and later in the season.
Okay, so
I don't want them punching at a certain time.
But if it's cart path only, even if it's cart path only, I think they'll go ahead and do that before they go watch the other guy. So it's Joe, step, Kenny, step, Dylan, step, Shador. Step.
No.
Way down to Deshaun Watson. Yes. That's right. But I don't. I wish I could disagree with you on that. I don't. I want to. But then I go, well, if nobody in the building really liked Kenny Pickett, then what the hell is he doing here? And what are you trading for?
Why was he here to begin with?
So they clearly like him. And again, you go back to what had happened the night of the draft, the night of day 2 of the draft. But I think it would be a horrific message. And I know that technically one time you traded a guy after week 1, and Derek Anderson took over, and they had a great season.
That's an all-time story.
That is an all-time story.
Right?
That's 1 out of 26 seasons. You've had 3 other good seasons other than that. You had that season, which was fun. You've had 21 other bad ones. So I wouldn't say, like when we do our argument about the Guardians, where we said, like, guys, the Guardians aren't going to learn any lesson if they don't go to the playoffs this year. There's no lesson. There is no argument to be made other than maybe it could possibly happen, but that's about it with the crazy Derek Anderson season. So if you go into the season and it's Joe just starting week 1, man, Kenny better be able to spin it. Kenny better be able to. And then I got to look at Kevin. I go, are you lying to yourself? Are you that desperate for your own job? Are you doing what's best for everybody there? Because if you are doing what's best for everybody, I find it hard to believe that you would just be willing to pull Joe Flacco after week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. It has to be a horrific performance. Like all-time Browns bad, this guy's got to go, maybe retire performance.